Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Hidden Breach and another episode of the Trash Talk podcast. Today, I'm here with Klaus Fischer and Timmay out of the German community to discuss the new Bayou models out of the Ashes of Malifaux book. Now, guys, I know you a bit, but our listeners and viewers don't, so why don't you introduce yourself and tell us how you got to tabletop gaming and how you landed up playing Malifaux? So, Klaus, would you start?
Hi, I'm Klausi. Thank you very much for inviting me. For my tabletop background, I'm a Guild Ball refugee, and I only started playing Malifaux in the 3rd edition.
Okay, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, you won German nationals at some point, or at least something along those lines?
No, that was Timmay. Timmay was
Timmay was there. Okay.
The Guild Ball world champion.
Ooh.
But I think he can tell us more about this.
Yeah. Okay, Timmay. Then you tell us how you got here after coming to fame in another format.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Timmay. I'm playing competitive tabletop games for about 20 years, I guess. Starting with Warhammer. Playing War Machine and Hordes afterwards, and then finally getting to Guild Ball, where I had a pretty good run, I guess, playing a lot of international events and tournaments, and then Guild Ball died, and now I'm here. So, starting GG3 basically, because I've done 3 or 4 games in GG2 before, but I'm pretty new in the game, I guess.
Yeah, pretty new. Yeah, that is very good. So you can pull the wool over our eyes. So guys, as you are both Guild Ball players, was the switch to Malifaux easy? So could you take over some of the skills you acquired in Guild Ball, or was it a complete new thing?
I'd say yes and no. There are quite some similarities, but the scoring is much more diverse in Malifaux. And that at first was a bit of an issue for me to get into. But once it clicked, it was great.
Awesome. So Guild Ball was more like you have basically the same scoring conditions every game?
Well, you had 2 to 3. If you count one special thing, you could score goals for 4 points or knock out an opponent for 2 points. And you could also push opponents off the board for 2 points.
Okay, that was the only scoring mechanic. Okay, I never played that, so this has gone past me in a rush. Yeah, guys, thank you for being here with me today and discussing these models. We got an absolute whooper for a start, because the first thing in the book is from Angler and Famous, the new living enforcer, Mossbeard for 7 soulstones. So who wants to start on the uses, or I don't know, what is this model for?
I can try, I guess. I think it's fair to start with that I'm not the biggest fan of Mossbeard. So should I go over his rules first?
If you like.
Yeah, basically you got a standard stat line with defense, willpower, movement 5, size 1, 7 health, cost 7, and is an enforcer. He got hard to kill and jump the waters, which are actually pretty good. Then he's starting to make sense, which is cute, but I guess not super relevant most of the time. Peer through fog as well, so it's fine, I guess. And showboating, which is your basic, infamous card cycle mechanic. Mm-hmm. He got sharp wit with 2 triggers. One resolving additional damage and poison +1, and survival skills, which heals Mossbeard for 1, 2, 3, which is fine, I guess. It's not exciting.
I mean, at least it's stat 6. That is something.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. All the other actions should be stat 6 as well, to be honest. But
maybe.
Yeah. He got Horring Tails, or Tail, which is in range 8, willpower attack, stat 5. And the target suffers damage equal to the difference in the number of cards in this model's control hand and its maximum hand size to a maximum of 3. With 2 triggers, one which pushes the target up to 2 inches, and misdirected rage, which is enemy only. It's cute, I guess. I think it's a bit awkward because of order of activation, and you don't want to start with his activation, and it's so unreliable.
Yeah, fair.
I'm not the biggest fan. A Cousin and the Fussin would be his bonus action, which is range 8, stat 5 against willpower, and the target gains distracted +1. With making conversation, one friendly model within 3 inch may heal 2 as a trigger on Rams, which is okay. Plays pretty well into Infamous, I guess. And then the tactical action, which I cannot pronounce.
Haphazard topography.
Thank you so much. It would be range 8, stats 6, and target number 12. Targeting a marker, push the target to up to 3 inch in any direction with 2 triggers on tomes. It's disturbing sight. Models within 1 pulls 1 of the target gains distracted +1, which is actually pretty good. And Gone Fishing, drop a severe tide marker into base contact with this model. All in all, it's cute. But it's unreliable. Yeah. It's nothing baked in, no baked in suits. It's rather card intensive, and it's just another backline model. And if I'm not looking for something else, it's another good backline model for Bayou, I guess. So,
yeah, but is it a good backline model? I mean, it's a backline model. I agree with you there, but I mean,
not as good.
Yeah, I mean, we have 7 Soulstones. It's in Infamous, so it's basically in direct competition to Bo Fishbocker.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, that is the point. Like, I mean, it's kind of weird. So my question would be, what is it for? What is its role in a crew? And if you're either playing Angler or Infamous, what would you leave out if you would take it, if at all?
That's a really good question.
Yeah, okay.
I think we're talking like handing out distracted is the best way to use this model.
Okay, so haphazard topography.
He's decently tough and survivable, but again, I mean, he's competing with Bo Fishbocker, not really.
Yeah, and also, I mean, you get for 9 Soulstones, you always can get Big Brain Brin, which is basically the perfect backline model. So
it really is.
Yeah, so there's
so is Bo, to be totally honest. So
yeah,
these are too good to pass on, I guess.
Yeah, so from a competitive point of view, I think also that Mossbeard is probably looking a bit sad. Klaus, do you have anything that you think worthwhile about this model for taking, or?
Unfortunately, not at all. It doesn't click for me. I think it's too weak. As Timmy said, a lot of its power is behind its triggers, which are maybe you have them, maybe you don't. You can't stone for them because it's an enforcer. I also think that he's too action inefficient, and
yeah, he really is. Yeah.
The disturbing sight trigger on haphazard topography, I think it's a nice trigger because it's unresisted, distracted. Mm-hmm. But then again, it's not limited to enemy models. So in some cases, you might even hand out distracted to your own models.
Yeah, it doesn't seem ideal.
It's a pass for me. I don't think this will see play competitively.
Yeah, fair. Which is a bit sad.
Me neither.
Because I think the lobster or the crab looking out of the beard is kind of cute to paint. But yeah, okay, cool. So we give Mossbeard a pass because we basically don't know what he's for. So we talked about this a little bit before. Any idea how this model could have been more appealing to you? Like you say, oh, this is great. Anything that you would change on the card to make that happen?
I think for me the issue is that, as you said, it doesn't have a clearly defined role. At least I don't see one. I think it's kind of he holds people up quite well. He's decently survivable and he can hand out slow, but I think it's just not enough. And the distracted on the bonus action is just not enough. I mean, you can always make a model better by giving it a bonus action that's always applicable, but I think that's the easy way out for all of the models.
Yeah,
so
fair.
I don't know how to make this into a model that sees competitive play.
Yeah, fair. All right.
Me neither.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that's Mossbeard in a nutshell. Fine by me. I have looked at this card long and hard. This being also the second time we discussed this on the cast, and I don't know. I think I even probably won't build it after buying the box. But more, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have so many factions right now, and there are so many models released for those that I have to pass up on some stuff just because of time issues, honestly. So yeah, I think he will stay in his brew. So if anyone wants a Mossbeard, you can write me. Next up we got Swashbucklers, which I think are a bit more exciting, which are a 6 host on cost minion of the same angler and infamous keywords. So what do you guys think of the Swashbucklers?
I like them a lot more than Mossbeard. I think you can't play this model in every scenario, but it can do well both in Angler and in Infamous. And I think his entire card synergizes well with itself, and with a lot of things that Angler and Infamous want to do in general. So it's got the 5/5 basic stat line and a defensive trigger that is not built in on a book or tome. That moves the attacker away up to 2 inches and hands out distracted. He's got boarding action, which is a very interesting ability. After a friendly Terran marker is dropped within 6, this model, and it's an aura 6, this model may push up to 4 inches toward it. I think this is very interesting, in particular in Angler, because in a lot of Angler crews you place the tide markers just coincidentally without any effort required. So this can give the Swashbuckler a lot of free movement with very little investment required. Then he does a combat finesse and showboating, and very important, he's unimpeded, so he's unaffected by the tide markers. But unlike Mossbeard, he is affected by the concealment from the tide markers and clamp pads too. So there is some anti-synergy here for the biting insult action.
Fair. The question would be, how often will you take the biting insult action, though, when you're playing Swashbucklers?
I'd say rarely, but it's there. The most interesting thing about it, of course, is the pass token that you can generate, which is always powerful. But it's just something that I noticed about the card, which I wanted to point out. Then the attack action is a stat 5 versus defense, and with a very interesting addition that if the opponent is undistracted, then he suffers a minus to resist the action. This is only the first time for each activation. And the damage track is rather good. 2, 4, 5 for a 6-cost model. That's impressive. Or let's say for Bayou, it's rather nice.
Okay.
With 2 interesting triggers. then, as I mentioned, biting insult, and free loot, which is a bonus action that's very common and infamous, but nevertheless, in this GG, it's a great bonus action, has a lot of value. So, sum it up, I'd say that this model has clear downsides. It's weak defensively and it relies on combat finesse and its defensive trigger to survive. And it's especially weak against range attacks. And his attack action is only stat 5. But on the plus side, as mentioned, boarding action is great. A lot of action efficiency. You can theoretically also use it with piano markers. So in theory, he can disengage himself with the play some piano trigger. But this is theoretical, I think. But this is also valuable to get the swashbuckler in position to disengage it, or get him into position to score in stat such as rate the walls, for example. You get an out of activation movement that the opponent might not see coming, or you can sometimes deny points if you smell that your opponent is trying to score protected territory. You can move him via this way out of his activation as well. And my overall verdict is that, as mentioned initially, I think you can't play him in every scenario. But in my Clampets 2 and Zip 1 list, I often have a free slot for a rather cheap model that I would like to do damage, and he fits there. He's even better with Zip 2's monologue, because he benefits a lot from Distracted, of course. And you can do it, for example, with the free loot action. Also with showboating, of course, and overall, I think it's a well-designed model because it doesn't fit in every situation, but when it does, it can be good.
Yeah. Also, dumping those 6s for 4 damage on a 6 soulstone minion when your opponent has a negative to resist seems very appealing to me, because I don't know. I'm only a Zip player because I'm only Outcast, but most stuff that's in Zip doesn't have the most exciting damage track, or it's very cost intensive, and that is it's a very cheap way to actually dish out 4 damage if it works. Timmy, your thoughts on this one? Do you add something, or do you agree with Klaus completely?
Yeah, I mostly agree. I think it's. I agree that it's a well balanced approach to a minion, I guess, because it definitely has its matchups. If your opponent is melee focused or basically only melee, they might be really, really good. They still have to choose their fights, I guess, but you won't get backhanded by a random guy just because you are out of position for 2 or 3 inches. Combat finesse is really, really good, and it makes it easier to get the defensive trigger as well, because you still might cheat down your defensive duel because your enemy cannot cheat at all. So you might hand out Distracted and push the attacker as well. So I think it's a good minion.
For sure.
It has to be. It costs 6 minion, but he should be at least solid. But I'm totally okay with them.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at some minions that still exist in some factions for 6 soulstones, then there's the discussion how much. But I think it's a good alternative to do Skeeter only stuff, because Skeeters are nice and I like Skeeters, but as damage is concerned, Skeeters seem to fall off rather fast. Yeah, like they don't do any. So I'm not super familiar with Angler because I never had the time to put in some games with them, and nobody's playing them here much. So how does it look in Angler? I mean, they move a lot about, like for free. When you drop the tide markers, I can see that. Other than that, how do you get distracted on people when you're playing Angler? Is there anything in Angler that hands out distracted?
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay.
The boat, doesn't it?
Bow? No, the boat. The boat.
boat.
Yeah, the second master. I don't know. Wasn't there something on the
I was
hand?
actually dodging him for quite a while because he seemed obviously not fun to play against. But the crash against the waves does distracted +1. It's a shockwave.
Yeah, okay, but that is not a surefire way. That is a maybe. So he would be very much reliant on his own walk the plank defensive thing then. I don't know. I mean, if your opponent has good guns, then those guys are gonna get creamed like turn 2. So yeah, I think it's very matchup dependent.
Uncle Buck does distracted as well.
Mm-hmm.
If he's on the other side.
Yeah, on the other side of the board, right?
Yeah. Which is so like it's more, I guess, more opportunistic because you cannot really plan for it.
Seems like a very passive way to do it.
Yeah, but it happens from time to time.
Fair. So you guys both think overall Swashbucklers deserve a place in a crew and are worthwhile trying out. Sounds good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So let's jump over to the next keyword if our verdict is final. Next up, we got Big Head and what's the other? It's Trixie, right? Yeah, Big Head and Trixie. Yep. And it's Jebadiah, an 8 Soulstone cost Enforcer. I think it's Construct, right? Yeah, seems like a Construct. Yeah, cool.
Living Construct.
It's a living construct. Okay, so you get to choose which marker to drop if he dies. That's awesome. So what's your opinion on this one?
I think it's a very good model. It comes close to being an auto-include in Mataket. The stat line is 5/4 with a movement of 5. And this is also one of the few weak points of the models, that it only has willpower of 4. Armor 2. And unlike a lot of the other shared keyword models, this one has the abilities of both keywords. It has Bayou 2 card. It has Scamper and Demise. I'm done with this. On top of it, it also has the Pit Traps rule, which is something that you always are looking for in Trixie, which is one of the main reasons for one of the many reasons for hiring bushwhackers. The melee action is a stat 5 0-inch against defense with a 2/3/4 damage track that automatically hands out injured and gives Jebadiah a place anywhere into base contact with the target with the Clever Roost trigger, which is potentially very powerful because it creates another push towards the pit trap marker. And we all know what you want to do in Trixie. You want to have enemy models and pit traps and push them around there. Then, on top of it, he's also very effective at range with a stat 6 gun against defense with a 12-inch range, a 2/4/6 damage track with only the ricochet trigger, but that's good enough. The gun doesn't ignore anything, but it's still a very good gun. And then there is his, it's a defining action, which is a tactical action, Scoot and Boot, range 6, needs the 6 to go off, and it's once per turn. You target a marker, and you push Jebadiah into base contact with the marker, and then push the marker up to 3 in any direction. And there's also a trigger on a ram to summon a haberdasher with slow into base contact with the marker and remove the marker. And this is ignoring hazardous terrains, you can use it without any drawbacks in conjunction with the pit traps. And then on top of this, he also has Ride With Me. He's size 2, so unless you put a ghillie suit on him, he will not have that many Ride With Me targets, but still enough. In Mataket, you still have the Little Lass or Big Brain Bryn. And Big Brain Bryn, of course, benefits from free movement. But depending on your plan, you can also give him the ghillie suit, and then you have basically you can Ride With Me with anybody you want. Mataket is the most important target, of course, and this Ride With Me comes with a trigger on a crow, hidden trap. It creates a pit trap within 2 of this model. So this is also interesting that they put the trigger on a crow, because in Mataket you usually don't need crows in the 6 to 8, maybe even 9 range. You find cheatingness, I'd say.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's a free pit trap on a action that is in itself good enough for a 6
Absolutely.
anyway. So, yeah, Jebadiah looks. It looks a bit more like a Madness of Malifaux model to me than an Ashes of Malifaux model from what's on the card. I don't know. It seems very powerful. Of course, I've been a complete idiot and forgot to put on the ghillie suit when playing it for the first time, so he couldn't Ride With Me with Soma. So yeah, and I realized that when I declared Ride With Me, I was like, yeah, cool, cool. You stay here, I go somewhere else. So yeah, gotta keep that in mind. Timmy, you think anything on this makes you excited about it, or rather not?
Basically everything on this card makes me excited. It's a really, really good card. That's a really good kit, I guess. It does a lot. And basically for both of the keywords. So I think I'm way more focused on pit trap control or movements in Trixie with him. Then I'm with him when I'm playing Big Hat. But the summoning aspect is pretty hilarious in Big Hat as well, because you're basically swarming the field at a certain point. If you got Summer summoning, if you got Jebadiah summoning in one of the jockeys, which we are going to talk about, summoning an additional model, you will end up drowning your opponent in bodies, basically. And there are a lot of lists which cannot handle like 4+ summons a turn, even if it's basically crap.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have blasts or powerful shockwave, then yeah, you gotta get bogged down.
You basically get body blocked by the worst of the worst minions, but they are and haberdashers, which are actually pretty good.
True.
It's oppressive at a certain point if you're misjudging the matchup, I guess. It's a really good card. It's a really, really good card. And for even for both of the versions of the masters. So I'm seeing use in Summer 1, in Summer 2, in Ma 1, and in Ma 2. It's an all-round really good model.
I mean, if all is said and done, if you don't know what to do, you have a Gatling gun with a 2-4-6, so you go somewhere with Ride With Me, focus, and shoot something for 6 and laugh. So that's basically already kind of good.
And you got pit traps.
And you got pit traps, which I mean, I played enough against Ma to still feel the pain there. So seems hilarious.
There's one thing I want to point out about this model, and I'm curious what you think about it. I think that Jebadiah is the first model in Trixie that can hand out injured unresisted.
Because of the Scoot and Boot.
Scoot and Boot, you can, from a mile away, from 12 inches away, and you still have an AP left. So theoretically from
Matu. Matu can do it as well.
Sure.
With the pushes.
Yeah.
And
with the okay, yeah.
I don't know what it's called, but it's an unresisted push, and you can line it up with the pit traps as well.
Mm.
Yeah, I should know what it's like because I had it on. It's scatter actually.
Scatter, yeah.
Okay, but I think it's harder to do than scoot and boot.
Yeah, positional based, it's way harder.
Yeah.
So this is the perfect setup model for a Ma assassination run.
Yeah, it
the
is.
model basically starts out standing in a pit trap, and if you've created the pass tokens, then you might even have the last two activations.
I mean, he basically sets himself up with the stupid boot. So
yeah, you still have an AP left.
So it's a really good model, and I really like it in the Raider 1 as well, because pit traps are hilarious in the Raider.
Yeah,
it's a rather good upgrade for 2 additional soul stones if you're comparing it to Bushwhacker.
Fair.
I'm not the biggest Bushwhacker fan, anyways, because I think they end up in awkward situations a lot of the times, where they end up being not super efficient. But I don't think Jebadiah suffers the same fate. It's he will have something serious to do, like every single activation.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Bushwhackers, it's part of the charm that you deploy them somewhere awkward, and then they are awkward, and your opponent is chasing them, and you're kind of running away. And I think it's also part of the fun. Jebadiah is more of, I think Jebadiah is more of a serious model, though. The only downside I see is, as Klaus mentioned, is willpower 4, and it has a Gatling gun. So if your opponent has an obey, then you're gonna get shot with a Gatling gun. That's also pretty likely to happen.
Sure, but it's min 2.
Yeah, it's a min 2 Gatling gun, but still, I mean, scoot and boot. If someone obeys it to scoot and boot in the wrong direction, that's probably a bit more annoying even. So that's probably what you would do with an obey. Awesome.
Oh, that's even super annoying because it's once per turn.
Yeah.
So if he goes first, then he can mess up the entire plan.
That's sad. Yeah. So plan is gone. But then again, I mean, not everyone has obeys. So yeah, awesome model. Let's have a look at the haberdashers that it can summon, and that can be summoned by Somar as well. Which is also not uninteresting in some matchups, I think. So haberdashers are 3 soulstone cost minions, constructs, and they are basically walking heads with like revolvers inbuilt. Tim, what do you think, Timmy? Would you hire one, or is it only summon?
So, firstly, it's an hilarious design.
Yeah, it's really good.
What the fuck is going on?
It's a walking revolver head. I mean, what did you expect?
Yeah, sure. They're actually good models for three soul stones. I'm not convinced I'm the first one to hire it. There might be situations where it's interesting to do so, but first of all, it's a summon, I guess. And it's a rather good summon because they have 3 HP, which is actually a real upgrade to 2 HP. And they are not insignificant.
That is
they're disguise and defense 5. So they're actually a pain in the ass, and even if you kill them, they are cannon fodder. So it's hilarious. They're really, really efficient in getting on your opponent's nerves, I guess. And in addition to this, they got Scuttle as well, which is like in automatically going off, remove that marker and move into any direction, which is super good. So it's not even targeted movement or something like this. It's just additional movement.
Yeah.
Which is really, really good in some matchups. In most matchups, to be totally honest, because it's just a marker.
It's any marker. It's
yeah.
that is so rude. I mean, imagine
really
the poor Titania player, and you go like lawnmower everything away.
Even eating ski markers.
Yeah, fair.
Good. It's just good.
Yeah,
it's a really good model, and not gonna lie, Bayou 2 cards will get you hits even with stat 3 or stat 4. That is nothing you will cheat against because it's so inconsequential. But it adds up. It really adds up over time. So they even adding into the chip damage you're doing. They are really good.
Yeah, awesome. I like them as well. Klaus, what's your thoughts on haberdashers? You like them as well?
Can only agree.
Yeah.
Scuttle is, I think, the most powerful thing on the card, but as Timmy mentioned, the rest of the card is also very strong.
Yeah.
I mean, even hat-trick, it's basically auto and snare in some situations because you're dropping a scheme marker with an interact, hat-trick, second scheme marker, there you go.
Yeah.
It's super good.
I could scuttle beforehand even, so you can set this up on range, which is like 5. It's 8. Jesus, what is it? It's base size plus that is like 9 to 10 inches set up for ensnare. That's rough. Yeah, and I mean, would you summon those with Somateeth Jones at some point with the gang up action? Like, this is basically free, I guess. Because not really.
Yeah, not only them. I guess they're like you're aiming for something else, and maybe you get an haberdasher as well. I guess, or multiples of these.
Yeah, I think multiples are like 3 at once, and then you go scuttle. Like
that might be okay in the right situation, to be totally honest, because even disguised is is a problem for some matchups.
Yeah.
And are you really going to pay multiple AP to take down one of those and feel good afterwards? I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, you will have to discard the pass token, and your opponent draws a card as well, and I don't know. For some reason, they have engagement range 1, which is also this is just, I don't know. This is a very root model overall. I think. Fair.
It really is.
Yeah, cool. So this is I think this is the powerhouse for Bayou. Those 2 models, Jebadiah and the Haberdasher, seem really, really strong. And I'm excited to get clapped by this in the future. I can see it coming with both keywords as well.
I'm not sold on auto hiring them like every single time, but
the haberdashers or Jebadiah?
Jebadiah, Jebadiah.
Even
not
Jebadiah.
Totally sold on. Yeah, okay. I'm not totally sold on playing them every single time.
Yeah, I mean,
but
that depends on what your lists are so far. I don't have the experience. So what do you have to leave out if you're playing Ma, for example, and you want to put in Jebadiah?
my Ma list is basically a big backline supporting Ma and some active models. So basically it melts down to like 2 or 3 models which are actually doing something, and everyone else is basically cheering them up.
So it's gonna be Big Brain Bryn and Bo Fishbucker as baseline for everything, and then from there on it doesn't really matter.
Most likely Boo Beep as well.
Yeah, so, okay, fair.
These are like complete comfort picks for me because they give me like the toolbox I need to basically get everywhere on the board. Without any big problems, and they got healing and some defensive tech as well. And then this is like not everything a list includes all 3 of them, but most of them. If if I would need to write an take all comers list, I would go for all three of them, I guess. And then a combination of some active models, and Jebadiah is in there, definitely in there.
Yeah, that is my thinking. Like if you have those three, then you can put Jebadiah on top, and then you still have like place for one big and one small model. So depending on upgrades, I don't know.
Yeah, but there's an argument for Alphonse as well, and stuff like this. So there are a couple of good lists, I guess, from Attackit, even with my kind of playstyle. And
tosses are always fun.
Yeah. Toss is really good if you got like the last three activations as well. So
pass token printing, my favorite mechanic in Malifaux. Pass token printing, very good. Yeah, fair. Okay.
Matt does it all.
Yeah, Matt does it all somehow. You know, I mean, I'm a very big fan of slamming people into hazardous terrain repeatedly and laughing. So I think I would enjoy Mark quite a bit. Because it's like the auto setup, you don't need any extra things. It's just like, here you have a pit trap, and then you go into the pit trap, and from there on it's a written story. So yeah.
You might add some spice to it as well, with like Van Steam or Bowfish-Boker's additional hazardous effect.
Oh, I will. Yeah. You need to stack it as high as possible. It needs to be 2 or 3 damage per thing.
And then forcing them to cheat against their attacks. So Bowfish-Boker might push them as well and stuff like this.
Of course. Yeah. Bayou is known as the fun and casual faction. I don't see that. Whenever I play against good Bayou players, I can't see it myself. I think Bayou is very competitive and actually has a very strong lineup. So I don't know what people are talking about. It looks fun until it makes me cry. That's all I'm gonna say.
It looks fun if you're far away of it.
Yeah. It's on the other side of the board. It's still okay. All right. So let's have a look at the next model, which has me a bit confused overall. And that is Bash. I think I call it Bash because I'm not entirely 100% sure how it's pronounced. And it's the new giant versatile model. And Bash is I think 10 Soulstone Enforcer, and it's a beast. And it's also in the December keyword, which we will ignore for now because we are talking the brown stuff only. I'm confused. Did Bayou need this model? What do you think, Klaus? Is this something you would want to have all along, or?
I think this is a crucial question. As for a lot of these new 10 Soulstone Enforcers, Bayou already had other good options in the beta category. So Ash is an expensive but otherwise good generic beefy beta. And the question for these models always becomes is whether they are action efficient enough. And then if you have a look at the card, we can see that he has a way to attack again through Onslaught. But as before, it's an Enforcer, so you can't build that in. And he has a way to move himself with the bonus action, which he can potentially do twice. But it requires a very peculiar setup because you need to have a marker within 4 of him. And then if you want to do it again, you need to have the correct suit as well. Yeah. So in most cases, he will not be action efficient enough for me to pick him over one of the all-stars, such as Alphonse and maybe also the Whiskey Golem. There are niche situations where I can see this model. For example, in Zoraida, because Zoraida does have the Obey with Ensorcel or Burnout, so she can create additional AT for this model. Zoraida also has the scrap marker from the Voodoo doll, which you can put in a perfect place for this model with usually very little additional effort required. So you can make good use of its bonus action. But still, in order for me to pick this model over, let's say, Bad Juju, there would need to be a scenario where I can make use of all of its abilities, because it's a very unusual set of abilities. He has Laugh Off, Ruthless, and Terrifying 12, which is very uncommon for Bayou. The scenario where I could see it is maybe a Zoraida list where I do want to play Zoraida, but I'm afraid of the enemy denying my Bad Juju's demise ability. So I would then pick Bash instead, and still, I would only pick it if I still could make use of Laugh Off, Ruthless, and Terrifying. Otherwise, I'd say the other options still are superior to him.
Okay, fair. I mean, Eternal Hunger is target the marker in 4 and move towards it and remove it. That isn't too bad in the current GG, because we're having a lot of scheme marker heavy schemes. So he's not completely useless, but I see your argument. Timmy, what do you think? Are you excited about this one?
Not really. I think it's a cool model, but like you've said, I think Eternal Hunger is a good bonus action, but the remove the target part isn't exactly what I'm excited about if we're talking scheme markers, because you got upgrades in Bayou, which basically give you a bonus action to remove all the scheme markers nearby. So
yeah, fair.
There are different sources for something like this as well. I think he's fine, but I think he suffers similar problems like Bad Juju does. If you cannot heal for any reason, you're basically dead. 14 HP seem a lot, and it might be really, really good from time to time, but there are some matchups which Bash still will melt away like in a heartbeat, because defense 4 isn't exactly something you are excited about if you haven't got any tech to dodge important attacks, I guess. So something like take a hit or something like this. I think people are talking about beast synergy, like stick him with the Hawk Oil Salesman and something like this. I think you're putting way too much eggs in a basket, which might not perform. I think stuff like Alphonse is just more reliable and even way harder to take down. If you're questioning me,
he is.
So there, but you got an abundance of good 9 to maybe even 11 point models out of keyword or in keyword, which are like your basic beta with different flavors. And I myself would most likely go for Alphonse, because Toss is a pain in the ass in the right situation, and even handing out cover is really good from time to time. And
indeed.
Glory with a couple of really good triggers which you can rely on instead of hoping for them is just a different story. So I think Bash is cool. Bash is kind of exciting because it's a fucking giant alligator or crocodile or something like this. But I'm not completely sold, to be totally honest. I think he's cool, but is he really cooler than other options? I don't really know. I think he might got his own niche, but I'm not sure that the niche is big enough to actually go for it.
I mean, it's a 10 soulstone thing, you know. Justifying 10 soulstones is hard because we got so many models. If this was a vanilla model, like released at the start of M3E, this would be kind of different. But now there are so many models, and this is like dropping into a pool of so many models that it's kind of hard to justify. I would also agree that Alphonse is also amazing, like really amazing. And this is like, I mean, my experience, I got the Malisaurus in Explorer Society, which I played a bunch, and this is the Malisaurus Croc, if we're honest, because it's basically the same thing. It has laugh off instead of heart to wound. Otherwise it's the same defensive tag. It has the same attack action, and the Malisaurus Rex has a life expectancy of 1 to 1.5 turns.
But we're talking Bayou, so you got like a lot of good heals, and you might turn off triggers and stuff like this. So you got like quite a lot of interesting tech to make him more survivable.
Okay.
But still, this applies to all the other options as well.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my point. So I don't think it's a bad model. But I don't think I prefer to like Alphonse or the other all-comers, which, or it's a totally different model, but it would end up eating Uncle Boc's spot, for example, because it's something I might push forward without fearing that I will lose it in like 2 or 3 activations. It will take you more than an activation to take Bash down, and I might heal him in between. But so is Uncle Boc. Uncle Boc has a totally different rule set, but it's basically a spot in my list, most likely. And I would go for less damage and more utility, to be totally honest.
Yeah, fair. I can see that.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's a bit mixed. I mean, I can see it. If you drop it in something that has problems with terrifying and not a lot of access to min 3, because if you have a problem with terrifying and you'd only do min 2, then this is gonna last a long time. But other than that, I don't know. Well, that is.
So there's Bo Fishpoker standing behind him for sure. If you're playing Bash, I don't see a single situation where you're not playing Bo Fishpoker.
Yeah, of course.
So you got heals and you got the dodge away. So
yeah,
it's annoying to get him down. I get this, but it doesn't make a real difference to all the other options we got.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Taken. Okay. I think we can leave Bash at that for now and see how he'll turn out in the future, if at all different. I don't think so. So let's jump now to the new jockey models we get with this book, of which there are 4, I guess. Yeah, it's 4. So yeah, we get 4 new jockeys for some of the keywords that got left out the last time. So what do you guys think about those? Klaus, would you start us off?
There are some things that all of the jockeys have in common. They all have ramming speed, just like the previous ones. So they get +1 to their stat on the charge and a built-in suit. And except for Toast, they're all on a 40mm basis. And all of them have a bonus action that allows them a free move, or for Drumstick, a free summon. And these bonus actions, they have no TN, so you don't need to flip. You don't need to fear the Black Joker. They just always work at the cost of 1 HP. And that means that new jockeys are very much 3 AP models at a hiring cost of 6 soulstones. And I'd say in general, that's the foundation for a good model. And I think that one needs to keep that in mind when looking at the rest of the card.
Fair. So first in the book is Drumstick, which is from Big Head Yeah, it's from the Big Hat. It's Enforcer Living and Undead, versatile for 6 soul stones. So, Timmy, are you a fan of this or rather not?
I think he's rather okay. So we're talking about classic jockey with ramming speeds. He got no stampede in this case. He got flight with movement 6, defense 5, and squeal trigger. Bayou 2 cards, which is fine. It's a good rule. And this is the one which summons a Bayou Gremlin in base contact with his tactical bonus action, which is super good because Old Cranky is nuts. And this is additional fuel for Old Cranky, and this is basically the foundation for a couple of different plays, which you got like for free, just because you're there. And in addition to this, you got like 2 good attack actions, to be totally honest. So ramming speed guarantees you to build in your trigger from a charge attack. And he got like Rampage and Heave.
Yeah.
So even this one got like additional movement if you're really going for mobility in the shape of Rampage. And Heave is good. To place the target anywhere within 3 inches of this model is like a serious kidnap. And if we're talking like Big Hat and Jebadiah, we're talking pit traps, and Heave is a really good way to drop someone into a pit trap.
Yeah.
And even the Falling Skies it's a shockwave action targeting movement. So we're talking movement 13, or it gets you 2 damage. It got a range of 10 inches, and you push any models damaged by this action up to 2 inches away from a shockwave marker dropped by this action. Which is reposition on a model which costs 6, which repositioned you maybe beforehand with Heave. So it's not bad at all, because it got a burn to crisp trigger as well, which is removing scheme markers. It's a good model.
Yeah.
We're talking a 6 soulstone model with a lot of good and reliable applications, I guess. I don't get the hate for the jockeys. They might not be the flashiest models or the reason why you are looking to play a certain keyword, but they are not bad. And this is true for almost all of them, I guess. At least from my point of view.
I mean, the Falling Skies having burned to a crisp alone is probably enough to justify this, because ski marker removal is very, very key, and this is cheap.
I mean, yeah,
it's
I agree.
Cheap.
I agree, but even the defensive stats aren't bad. We're talking about 6 soulstones, and he got 7 wounds, like straight up. And then we got, if you're suffering a damage for a Bayou Gremlin, you're most likely going to, or if you're looking for it, you're going to be able to use the Old Cranky ability if you're playing Big Hat. So you have to go through the Bayou Gremlin to get to Drumstick.
Yep.
And it's not super easy to get him killed. And he got tools to get away as well. So I'm not.
Yeah. You think they deserve more praise?
I think they're fine.
Yeah,
they're not flashy. They're not in every single list, but they're good.
Yeah, I mean, as we discussed, at the point where you're playing against Big Hat, you probably have another problem but trying to kill Drumstick, because a bunch of crap just landed in your crew. So yeah, but fair. Klaus, do you think there's anything to add to this, or?
Very little. I'm of the same opinion. I think it's an independently good model. Things I wanted to point out is that Bayou Gremlin doesn't come in with slow. also is not mindless, which is unexpectedly good. Also, the heave trigger basically allows you to get the same amount of displacement that you get with Bo Peep.
Yep.
And I think that might be the reason why this model did not get a movement-based bonus action, because otherwise you could do exactly the same thing that Bo Peep does. Go in, displace someone, and get out to safety again. But I still think it's a good model regardless.
I mean, he's doing this, but on your own models.
Yep. Handing them over. Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's
But-
like 6 inches of movement. It's a lot.
Yeah, plus a bodyguard by you, Gremlin.
Yeah, fair. I mean, I don't know. I tried to play Soma and I didn't quite manage to set it up properly. With the old cranky, I don't know.
Cranky is busted as fuck. To be totally honest, I don't know how this got through it.
It was played by incompetent. It was played by incompetent people like me, probably, because I was my first impression was like, yeah, I don't know how do I use this? Where do I put this? So I got problems with positioning there, but then I only tried it once, so
yeah,
fair.
But I guess there are matchups which end up in a complete NPE because you're basically not able to achieve something meaningful against the list. It's so taxing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dropstick isn't making it better.
No, more free bio gremlins is definitely.
Yeah.
I think that it's not slow is also a thing, because Soma 2 can then make it into a not slow something else as well. And that is I think that's also nice to get the bio gremlin that way. And it's also very reliable and cheap. You don't need to drop a marker or do anything. It's just like take a damage, have a bio gremlin, turn it into a good old boy, go brawl. It's it seems fair. So yeah. That's drumstick.
Burn to Crisp gives you an option with Summer to summon even more.
Yeah, fair.
Gremlins. So there's a lot of possible play in there, I guess.
Yeah, fair. People should give them a go for sure. Next up, we would have Barrel B. So Klaus, would you talk us through Barrel B and your thoughts on that? No.
Certainly. He's a bit of a mixed bag. He's a bit weird defensively because he only has defense 4, but then again he has armor 1, so it balances out. He also has 7 HP, so overall decent defensive stats for his 6-stone model. And the things that stand out from this model are the fact that it can drop a scrap marker from its bonus action. Again, it's a very, very mobile model. And you don't have that reliably in Bayou a lot. You have the Akaname and the Pogchop. And this is why I think this might be playable in certain scenarios with Martaka 2 to set up right derails. Because you only get it with the rock hopper on a certain suit, so if you're unlucky, you don't get it. And he gets it 100% reliable all the time. And the other thing that stands out is that he is guaranteed to hand out staggered on his melee attack, which is also something that is not that common in Bayou. The Survivor does have it on his melee attack. And Bo Fishbocker has it as well, but with Bo Fishbocker, there's the caveat that you need to actually damage the opponent to cause the staggered. So again, I think this is a well-balanced model because there are some niche use cases for this. and you certainly won't pick it in every list, and you won't pick it even in the majority of lists. But in some cases, I think this can be played competitively. And I already gave one example with the Martucket list. And I do think that this is competitive because Right to Race is an extremely powerful, sometimes undervalued ability. And this is the one guy that can enable it apart from the pork chop. And you usually want to have the pork chop in the thick of things. And you don't want to hire Akaname in Martucket 2. And the other thing where I can see it is in Zoraida. One thing that you can do with Zoraida is to abduct an enemy with Obey and Ensorcel. And then in the same activation, in Zoraida's activation, you want to stagger the abducted enemy so that he can't be rescued anymore. And with this guy, you can do it reliable at stat 6. And you even get to do your accidental rollover. And I also like to use pork chop in Zoraida. There's even synergy there. It's well designed, I think, because we already mentioned it earlier. What we don't want is models that are simply power creeping all the previous models out. So I like this design.
Yeah, awesome. That sounds good. I wasn't aware that Bayou doesn't have that many sources of staggered. So yeah, that makes sense for the kidnap thing as well. Tim,
there are some, but this one is guaranteed, and you want to have it guaranteed, of course.
Yeah. I mean, stat 6 is fair. In a Zoraida crew, I think you can manage unless you're really, really unlucky. So yeah, awesome. Timmy, you have anything that you would add to what has been said, or are you of a different opinion for this model?
I actually quite like him, to be totally honest. He's not flashy at all, but he's reliable, and that's worth a lot to me, to be totally honest, because if you're staggering punching with stat 6, charging with ramming speed, and getting accidental rollover, that's basically min 3, poison, staggered. Yep. And you got a barrel blast, which targets movement, so it synergizes with itself, besides being extremely fast. So you're driving like 5-inch forwards, charging 5 inches, moving an additional 5 inches, and then still drop a scheme marker or barrel blast the model you charged.
Yeah, that is a lot. And
that's pretty good for 6. And he basically duels other scheme runners as well. So if you're not like an enforcer or henchman level schemer or flanker, you might probably get killed by Barbelly.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see that. I mean, hide in the barrel is also kind of fun. You know, once you got where you want to go to scheme, you just give yourself to shield it, and yeah, then you got armor and shielded. That's
just being able to drop a scheme marker, tactical bonus action, drop a scheme marker is worth a lot.
Oh yeah.
And in addition to this, you got like a shot targeting movement, which pushes damaged models with a blast. And you get auto staggered and a rather okay trigger you may build in. So I think it's an okay model.
Yeah,
it's
okay,
not
fair.
super exciting, but it will do what you're going to ask him to do. So it's
fair.
rather reliable, I guess.
It was the one jockey that I was a bit skeptical about, but you've sold it well. So I'm gonna respect it more now if somebody brings it, which is probably a good idea. Awesome. Shall we take a look at the next one? I think so. Next one is this is a bit of a hyped model. Let's see what you guys think. The next one is Toast, from the infamous keyword. So that's for Zip and Crew. 6 Soulstone Enforcer Living Undead model. Timmy, are you excited? You hyped for Toast?
Toast is actually really good. I like him. So people are talking about Movement 3 being so bad. It would be if you weren't able to move 6 inches with your bonus action, and it would be if you're not be able to discard a card to interact after taking a walk action. So he's able to drop a scheme marker, or drop a scheme marker, do his bonus action, move, and drop a scheme marker. So he's doing protect the territory on its own. In a single activation,
which is rude, but very good, and it's 6 soul stones. So if he does that, that's paid, and everything else he does is free.
Yeah. And there are like a couple of good routes on here as well. So you still got ramming speed. Ramming speed giving you slander for and distracted in addition to an injured you did in your melee attack, or your slingshot slobber knocker yourself for an additional 5 inches of movement.
Correct.
And you got a fucking flamethrower.
It's nice.
It's a good model. It got its obvious problems, but overall, it's. We're talking about an enforcer.
Yeah, we're talking about 6 soul stones.
Like
I mean,
a minion.
Yeah.
you're getting one of those or a minion. That's what we're talking about. And you wouldn't expect more from a minion, I guess. I think they are actually pretty good, and they are only size 2. So all the infamous stuff with
fly with me,
and stuff like this works on them as well.
Yeah,
they're good.
Yeah, awesome.
It's a good one. Yeah.
So sounds like it. Klaus, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the format is called Trashtalk, so I need to bring some negative energy.
Yeah. Go for it. Bring the salt.
The movement, I mean, it's hyper effective, of course, because not only does it have a bonus action that moves itself, but it also has take the wheel on top of this, which makes it even more efficient. So this model had to be toned down in some way, and the way the designers did this is by making it move 3 on a 50mm base, and maneuvering a 50mm base with 3 inches of move is cumbersome. So, and the one other piece of salt that I can add is that the bonus action is a push of always 6 inches. So you will end up bumping into things.
Fair.
But still, it is a good model, of course, and you have the tools, especially in Infamous, to carry it around. It works perfectly well with a Skeeter, and it isn't even reliant on the Skeeter, not totally, but it works even better with the Skeeter, of course. So I can only agree to Timmy with the slight caveats that I said.
Yeah, I mean, if it just walks around some rough building terrain or something, then it's gonna be hard with the 3 movement. I agree, but other than that, I think if you can just drop this off in your favorite landing zone, and then it goes off by itself in schemes. I think it's armor. It's armor 1 and 7 health on 5/5 for 6 soul stones. That is That is really efficient. That is what everyone was whining about. These models don't have it. So, yeah, crazy stuff. Alrighty, that's toast. Yeah, I'm not sure. As an Outcast player, this is the only model that would actually be for me. And buying the whole box for that one model seems hurtful. So let's see if I find the one Bayou player that does not play Infamous and doesn't want toast, which is probably highly unlikely right now. Cool. Let's go for Squish and Squash, the last of the jockeys then, which I don't know much about. So one of you has to take it away on Squish and Squash. They are a living beast enforcer from the kin keyword, actually. So what do they do for kin, especially?
Well, they do have flinch, but they are size 2, and they lack the bigger they are. So noticing this at first is a bit of a downer, because it means that the model is much less survivable. But still, at first glance, you might think that the model is weak, or you might dismiss it. But Timmay convinced me otherwise. The thing that stands out here, of course, is the leapfrog action, which gives you an insane amount of movement if you have the setup. And you need a setup of jockey or kin models to jump around from. And it also depletes your health pool, of course. But apart from that, it's 100% reliable. And the question then becomes, what does this model actually do when it arrives at its destination? And there's actually quite a lot it can do. You can attack with one of Ophelia's gun upgrades if you have Ophelia 2. You can also build in the tome suit, Kissed by a Prince, so you can heal one of your own models that might be in a danger zone, might be in distress, and move it up to 2 in any direction. And if you have a low tome in hand, you can do it again, which is 4 inches of move and a healing of 4, which is very powerful, and which can come from very far away, so opponent might not think about it, might be surprised by it. And then there's the menacing croak action, which has the built-in swift action trigger, which can also be very crippling, because it's a huge pulse of 6 inches. With a decently difficult target number 14 willpower duel or gain distracted. And if you can imagine a situation where Squish and Squash does this 3 to 4 times on 3 different enemies, you can really get on their nerves and disable their plans. They're strong. Also, she can simply interact twice for, let's say, stuff the ballots. Or she could jump to a target and charge, rampage, and interact afterwards. So at first sight, you might think it's a bad model, but I think you are underestimating it, and I think it does something which Kin does not have easy access to. So I would definitely give it a try.
Yeah,
and
fair.
not dismiss it early.
I mean, in Kin, you have all the small guys, the totems running around, so
Exactly.
you can. And I mean, Leapfrog screams Suicide Scheme Runner to me at first, but yeah, I can see that, like quadruple menacing croak in the middle of the enemy crew. Yeah, willpower 14 is such a rough target number to gain. So yeah. So, Tim, you convinced Klaus, it seems like.
I mean, to be totally honest, if you're starting with Leapfrog in the aura of Semi, you're going to draw a card because you're damaging a friendly model. Then you're leapfrogging from point to point and throwing a fucking tower bomb on something which is burning for 3, 5, 6, or whatever it is. It packs a punch if you're looking for it. So I think you need to consider all the upgrades Ophelia 2 might be handing out, and then this is a really versatile model. I'm all for it. I really like Squish and Squash. I think they're versatile because of their mobility, and they got heals. They got reposition, and the crocus. just for the one bubble you go into and do 4 of these croaks. Like if you're hitting 3, 4, 5 models, whatever, it's a lot of distracted, and you might even get away after this. So if you're going for back-to-back activations or something like this, I think it's a good scheme runner or a valid scheme runner with the option to spike damage or negative conditions.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
Fair. So it seems good to me.
It heals as well.
Yeah, okay. And it's on a 6. I mean, it's the first good menacing croak that I see because it has a swift action inbuilt and is on a 6 soulstone body. That is like the ideal way to do that. Yeah, and I think depending on which crew you target with this, then this is all you have to do to make it worth 6 soulstones. I agree. That can be really crippling. Interesting. So you're actually really big fans of all the jockey models. I didn't see that one coming. I'll be honest, because I'm always a bit.
There's at least an option.
Oh,
there's at least an option. I don't think these are auto picks, but there are something to consider, I guess.
Would you generally agree that they are better designed than the old jockeys, apart from Bo Peep, which we see all day?
Most likely.
Yeah, would the other old jockeys, do you play them at all? Like Stumpy and I don't know how they are called. I'm sorry.
Ruffles.
Yes, Ruffles.
Ruffles is
Ruffles. Oh yeah,
the corner case, but I'd say these are better designed than the old ones. Yes.
Yeah, fair.
I would agree.
Fair. Good stuff. Okay, next up is basically my favorite sculpt in the book for Bayou, but another big question mark for me. We are switching over to Kin and to the pig or whatever it's called. Keywords here, Kin and pig, and it's the Hawk Oil Salesman, a 7 Soulstone Enforcer living beast model. That for some reason, I don't know, guys. You talk me through this. What is the Hawk Oil Salesman for? In any keyword. Okay, cool. So we got one. What's the other opinion on this apart from
It's bad.
Okay,
because,
fair.
Again, his defense 4. He's even worse. His defense 4 with flinch. And he lacks the bigger they are.
Yes.
So, as mentioned earlier, some of the models did get all of the positive keyword abilities, others didn't. And this, I don't know why this one didn't get it. I guess because it's thematically uncool to be size 1 when you're riding a pig, but it's whatever. And I think the entire model is anti-synergistic. There are things that you might want to do, but if you're thinking through, then you don't really want to do them. For example, you have the ramming speed, so you might want to build in a stickum to create another action from one of your beasts. But then again, what are you actually doing? You are doing an AP transfer over 1 damage from a 7 Soulstone model to whom? To Old Mayor maybe, or to a War Pig. Yes, that's fine, but in this case, you're moving closer to the enemy, and it's not even that good. The Ulix toolists, they are very tight. And you already have other models that can do that. They can't build it in all the time. But if this is the sole reason for bringing this model, it's not enough. Then again, sales pitch. Sure, it's funny, but when do you ever want to do this? You need to be 6 inches away from an enemy. And whenever you are in this position, you are actually pretty sure to get killed afterwards. And then there's the I need a volunteer action. And I think the I need a volunteer action is the most exciting thing about this card, but I think it doesn't work for this model. Why is it exciting? Because it's somewhat of a 2 AP action, because it does give you a move, it gives you the push, and it also gives you something else, which is in this case the heal or the ending of a condition. Plus, there's some more power hidden behind the triggers, but these triggers aren't built in. So to make this a really good action, you would need to have access to the triggers, which you don't. It's purely coincidental. And even then, I mean, if you had the I'm sorry?
You can get Rams from Old Mayor.
Yeah, fair. For
true.
shielded too.
Yep.
Still,
The least exciting
what you
one.
probably want is the spiced coffee, of course.
Yeah.
And if you get it, it's great, but it's totally random. Also, you already need to be set up within 6 inch of your preferred target. And that he's very susceptible to being picked off. And I think it's just too expensive, and the lists are too tight for this thing to work.
Okay, so if I try to talk myself into hiring this, I'm thinking, yeah, I need a volunteer on a war pig with spiced coffee, give it fast and burning, and then I headbutt it up the butt to stick him, and then it takes a charge action, and then it's fast. So that would at least be like a 2 AP transfer kind of thing.
Yeah, but what do you do afterwards?
Nothing. Nothing. Yeah, that's all it does, right? What about the hog oil ointment, or its ointment aura? It's once per activation. When a friendly model within 6 heals, it may gain shielded +1. Is there a lot that does that in either keyword? I know that Ulix has some heals.
There's a lot of healing in Ulix, so it's nice, but it's always AoE healing, so
yeah,
you will get shielded +1 on a model. I don't think it has ever been relevant in my games. The war pigs have so much healing on their own. Sure, shielded is always nice, but the way I activate the war pigs is that they always go in last, of course, and then the shielded is less impactful anyway, because they always heal up when they hit their melee attacks, and also from eat your fill if they kill something.
Yeah, fair. I mean, my feeling as a opponent of Ulix is always that I like war pigs because it's something that has basically no defensive tech, and it's very satisfying to kill them. It's basically that. That is my take on war pigs. They are very good offensively, but it's so good to punch them, and I don't see how this model really helps them. Yeah, sales pitch. It's the same thing that hucksters have from the wastrel keyword, and this is what you do if it happens during the game at some point. Then you just do it.
You stop caring, I guess.
Yeah,
because you might get your opponent in cards. So
yeah.
And then if you look at the jockeys, which we just had, this is a 7 soulstone cost model and has basically no useful bonus action, whereas the jockeys all have something good which they can do reliably with their bonus action.
Oh yeah, I mean 3 AP models are the design winner of Malifaux. But there's also we put Hog Oil Salesman and Mossbeard into one pot, and we can basically say, yeah, that's not going to work in this current meta, because we have so many 3 AP models that are also actually good.
My problem is that even I need and volunteer the spiced coffee, which gives you fast and burning, is quite redundant in Ulix, because you got reckless like everywhere.
Yeah.
And fast isn't as exciting in this keyword as it would be in like kin or something like this. But even in kin, it's the problem that it's not built in, and you don't got the resources, or you don't want to spend the resources on something like this.
Okay.
And it's another, at least for that's the case for me, because you're starving for cards, or you're building for a good card draw engine, in which case you won't have enough stones available to get the Hog Oil Salesman. I think the whole design of the mini is too safe. I think if you would follow the intentions of what he's doing and increase the efficiency for give it 33% more efficiency, and you still wouldn't always go for it, because it's another backline model which isn't actively getting you points or killing something, and it's not even good at its own on its own Just give me a second. I'm searching for words. It's not even good in its own job. So stick and build in is fine. I need a volunteer. Ending conditions is fine, but we still got Big Brain, which is ending conditions, which is healing, which is increasing your card efficiency and your hand size. We still got stuff like Hawk Whispers, which are multi-purpose models as well, which are summoning your new piglets, which are increasing your card quality, and which might get more stickums if you're going for the mask. And they just seem better in which in the things that the Hog Oil salesman is trying to do. So the only thing which really sets it apart is the Hog Oil ointment, for my understanding, and it's not even that good, to be totally honest. I think it's hard to balance, because if you're overdoing some effects like these with the amount of healing you got in the keyword, in addition to Boo Beep and stuff like this, it might get problematic as well. But I think they went too cautious on this one.
Yeah, okay. Seems fair.
So we're not buying the Hog Oil.
Yeah, we're not, but it's
No, not really,
but it's in the same box as the next, and it looks good. I mean, honestly, if somebody would ask me to paint this, then I'd probably say, yeah, well, fine, I paint this, like, because it's a wacky model, like the guy with the fake mustache sitting on top of the pig and selling dumb Bayou gremlins. Weird concoctions is I think
it's your second salesman in Kin as well, so
fair. Yeah, that's also fair. They kind of have the store now. They have liquor and they have guns, so okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect. But isn't it? Is there use in Kin, like you can give fast to Francois or something like that? Isn't that worth it at all? I mean, I know Francois got castrated a bit, but
he's still good.
Yeah,
he's expensive. That's the problem. I guess you're more looking for other fast models. To be totally honest, what is it called?
Ruffle.
Sorry, Ruffle. Yeah. You're looking for him.
Okay.
To get fast. At least I think so. But that's fine. But for 7 points, you could just pick up another model like Rami. And so is he increasing your efficiency more than Rami would on its own?
Yeah.
Or is he increasing your efficiency more than Swine Cursed, for example? No, he isn't. I don't think so.
Yeah.
And that's my problem. So you're jumping through a lot of problems just to be less efficient in the end, I guess.
Okay, so we give the Hog Oil salesman a pass for competitive gaming. I tried, but I see there's no point. I found none myself, so this is why I asked the questions. Awesome. Let's jump over to the next model in those keywords, which is the Swine Twirler, which is also a great design of a model and of a pastime to while away your days in the Bayou. What do you guys think about the Swine Twirler then? Is that a good minion? It's a 6 soulstone cost living minion for Kin and Sui.
I actually think he is. I really like the Swine Dwellers. And actually in both keywords, to be totally honest. Diversion is good. Gamble is actually pretty good, to be totally honest, because you got Semi and Kin, which is basically a free flying pig.
Nice.
Or some kind of these abilities. You got a lot of abilities triggering from Scheme Markers. So from upgrades or something like this, it's beneficial for you to get an enemy Scheme Marker laid down, even if we're talking Smugglers, which remove the Scheme Marker, draw your card, and may even drop another Scheme Marker. So there are a couple of good applications for Gamble. Right this way is fine. It's making the unpack way easier, but solicitation is fucking insane. It's so good. We were talking about Swashbucklers pushing because some markers were placed down. This guy is walking all over the place, or pushing all over the place, because it's not once per activation. So if a piglet is moving 3 times, he's going to push 3 times after him. That's a fast boy.
Yep.
That's really, really good. And the actions are good as well. So you got to take by the hand with Stick'em trigger.
Nice.
Not built in, but still, it's really good. Whack Piglet is an interesting ranged action because the Blaze trigger is built in, which sets himself up for tar bombs from Ophelia 2, for example.
Nice.
And Hit with Swine is an action which pushes and does damage with at least one good trigger. I'm still not convinced that annoying is...
No, annoying is not an action, I would agree, but people have differing opinions on that, so we need to be careful about the feelings there.
Okay. Without trying to hurt feelings, I think annoying could have been cut from this card, and I wouldn't even notice.
Yeah, fair.
That's not what I'm looking for in this model, but overall, it's a good model. We're still... It's a minion, Dev 6, diversion, and if you're playing Semi, you're effectively getting a free piglet or something like this.
Yeah,
in addition.
That's awesome. I mean, flying piglets are good scheme runners. This GG for sure. I love.
Better when they're free.
Yeah, I love the Ride This Way actually because it would enable more beginners to play Ulix because Ulix beginners tend to bog themselves up in their own deployment zone with all the 50mm bases and stuff like that. So this could be a solution to that.
You can take a war pick and charge through the enemy lines because you might charge multiple times.
Yeah,
charge through all the models and get into the backline without having to do any curves on your movement. Just move through the enemy models without any problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's potential in that. There is potential in that. Yeah, fair. Klaus, what do you think?
I also think the Swine Troller will see play. If you compare it to the other kin models, this doesn't have any of flinch or the bigger they are, but he has defense 6, so that's very strong. And I wanted to point out a few other things that you can do with it. For example, in Ulix 2, you always want to put burning on 2 of your models so that you can create 1 war pick per turn. And previously, you did hire Maris Lacroix for this job, which he did with a shockwave. And he can basically do that turn 1, and he fits your crew much better than Maris, I feel. So you don't have to hire her out of keyword anymore. Also, I think the Ride This Way action doesn't only help you if you're a new player. I think it's also beneficial for experienced players because the unpack and the positioning of Ulix always took a lot of time, and if you don't have to think about that much anymore, you will save time. And that was basically the reason why I haven't been playing Ulix 2 in tournaments yet, because I felt that the entire movement and unpack with all the pushes and getting everything right took so much time that in an environment where there's a clock, I felt always pressured. So that was one of the reasons why I didn't play in tournaments. He alleviates some of the pressure, which is good. And he also enables other good pushes. He makes them better. For example, the Slop Hauler has got an interesting trigger on his Feed the Piggies action, which creates a percentage push for any number of picks within 9. And this is basically an insanely powerful trigger. It's immediately, so you can do it with any kind of crow. One of crow is enough. It's only powerful in your mind. When you actually do it on the table, it becomes much worse because it's a real pain to get it right, and you can't get it perfectly right. But with this ability, it becomes much easier. So again, there's more synergy. I like this model a lot.
Cool. That sounds good. And what do you think about the pastime of swine twirling? Something for the long hours in the winter evenings to try out, like. Okay, maybe not. I mean, awesome. Yeah, fair. Swine twirlers done. So Hawkeye salesman and swine twirlers sadly in the same box for the competitive players. So yeah, we gotta build us a pyramid of Hawkeye salesman at some point. All right, and this brings us to our last new Bayou models that are of the Bayou faction, and that is from Trixie and Whizbang, which is Brewmaster and Wong. And first of this is the Houdini, a 7 soulstone cost living enforcer. And I know for a fact that Timmy, you are quite a fan of this model, so why don't you give us your opinion about that?
So first of all, it's Toad with a rider which throws like cocktails or something like this. So that's brilliant. And then he's actually a pretty good model. At least if you're asking me. So we're talking evasive, butterfly jump, magical influence, which is the whole discard a glowy token to get a suit kind of thingy. Then you got total power. It's once per activation. When this model takes an action, it may discard a glowy token to treat the action as having +4 range, which is actually important and really, really good. And then if he suffers from poison, instead he gains a glowy token. Then you got 3 actions on the backside of his card. So one is the I need a volunteer action, basically the same action as the Hawkeye salesman, but with different triggers. The spiked coffee is focus +1 and poison +1. Mm-hmm. Then we got an additional heal and a glowy token on there. Interesting here is you got the ability to choose your suit, and you got the ability to increase the range of the action. So we're talking about a 10-inch push with heal or ending one condition, and one suit of your choice if you got the glowy tokens for this. Then we got a bonus action, which is a shockwave, which has increased target number values if you center it on Hopscotch, which is a possibility over here. It's shockwave 2, willpower 13, +2 if it's centered on Hopscotch, and gives you distracted +1 with a built-in magical feedback trigger, which gives you a glowy token. So one way to get a glowy. Then there's another trigger which gives you poison +1. So basically it's distracting your opponent or your own Drunken Kung Fu models, like Brewmaster 2, to give him distracted. And you're basically would shoot it anywhere just to get the glowy token, because Houdini is actually a bit starving for glowy at the start of the game if you're playing Trixie. I think it's fine if we're talking Whizbang, because you got a couple of different options to give or hand out glowy tokens over there with Wong, the glow bonus action, which hands out like 2 glowy for everything in the aura. And then if you're succeeding in a simple duel against Wong, you would get a glowy as well. So all the zaps or launch into space markers, which drop down and create shockwaves, are basically situations where you're going to flip a card to succeed the duel to get a glowy token, and if you're missing, you're evasive and don't care. So there's another option to get glowy. You should be able to get glowy from blood poisoning as well. So the Tri-Chi variants, which gives you poison damage.
Okay.
I guess, yeah, you should be able to do so. And then there's a blast range attack. Basically, it's not a range attack, it's a blast attack. Handing out 1 blast, 3 blast, 3 blast damage on 8 inches. Remember that you could increase the range for 4 inches. And models damaged gain poison +2 with the option to hand out blaze, or the target gains distracted and is pushed up to 2 inches, or trapdoor, which is actually pretty good as well. It's enemy only, place the target within 4 inches of its current location. So it's a lot. Houdini is doing a lot. So I think people are hiring models like the Guild Steward just to hand out focus and heal a bit. He's doing this as well. Yeah. In addition, he's shooting your opponent, possibly poisoning and burning them with the same AoE. And he's moving himself up to 10 inches with the action which ends conditions or heals and focus and poisons the model. It's rather good, to be totally honest. And we're talking cost 7.
Yep, sounds like a steal.
Health. It's a good model. It's resilient enough not to die from a stiff breeze. It's actively contributing to either killing or scheme running or scoring points instead of the hog oil salesman, which is a rather passive model from my point of view. I think he's versatile enough to end up in a couple of lists, at least in a couple of my Tri-Chi lists.
Okay, fair.
I think it's good enough for it.
For Whizbang, you don't see him as much?
It might be just me, but my Whizbang lists are probably a really sturdy core from Alphonse to Swine, Curse, and Sammy.
Yeah, the usual.
It's a more brawly approach, I guess.
Yeah.
But I might give it a chance as well. But I think from the first view and my first experiences, I would rather pick it in Tri-Chi than Whizbang.
Yeah, I mean, you probably need to drop the second Swine Cursed, actually, if you play Whizbang. But okay, Klaus, what do you think about Houdini? You're a fan? You're gonna pick this every time, or is it a maybe pick?
I don't have much to add. Basically nothing. I think it's a very unique, decently powerful model. And it's a sometimes pick for me in both keywords. And I also think that it will see more play in Tri-Chi.
Yeah, and just because the synergy there is better overall.
Yeah, and because of list building.
Yeah, fair, because there's more space for it there. I get it. I think
it gives you an ranged option for poison as well. Sometimes it's at least for Brewmaster 1, I think it's hard to play him the way he is
designed to be.
Designed to play. So because of the whole soft control aspect of Brewmaster 1 with getting slow, if you're having like poison 3+, it's not easy to achieve in a couple of situations, because you most likely are going to run after your target, hitting it in melee, and this is an option to apply poison from range, which might be useful as well. But I see use cases in Brewmaster 2 as well. So I think Brewmaster is
the way to go.
Well-rounded, more well-rounded crew to be in Forage Genie.
Okay. Fair. I completely missed that I could extend the range of I need a volunteer by 4 with total power. That is actually 10 inches push, regardless of severe terrain or not. If you can line it up, might be one of the furthest moves in the game actually for a 6, and you get to give someone a focus and heal him by 1, and a condition you don't like. Yeah, it's pretty powerful. Sounds good. And butterfly jump is nice. It always is, or annoying depending on where you stand on that. Yeah, awesome. Cool stuff. So this is the toad with the rider on top. Now we jump to the toad without the rider on top, who's named Hopscotch and is the other enforcer for 7 soulstones both of these keywords get. And yeah, well, Houdini seems kind of unique and exciting. How's Hopscotch looking, Klaus? What would you say?
He's very tanky and he has a displacement, so you can snatch up enemy models or your own models from 4 inches away and place them behind yourself, which is a huge amount of displacement given that he has a 50 millimeter base, but that only works on size 1 or size 2 models. The thing that's limiting his effectiveness here is that it is an attack action, but of course it's not a melee attack, so he can't do this on a charge. So you will have to move him into range somehow, maybe with creep along, maybe with the walk action, and then do the sticky tongue.
Okay.
So that's already limiting its use here. Effectively, what can you do in game? You can move your own models forward, you can creep along and then do the sticky tongue. The thing that's, he's very, very tanky. He's hard to wound and he has perverse metabolism, which means that he heals from poison like the experimental keyword. And you can also heal him with blood poisoning, which is something which your opponents might not expect all of the time. But then again, I think the issue of this model is that your enemy will simply ignore him because he's not really doing a lot. He has a 0-inch engagement range with a rather underwhelming damage track of 2, 3, 4 at stat 5 versus defense. And there's a powerful trigger, but you can't build it in with this one. Yes, you can.
You can
you
can
build it in.
Yeah,
you can build it in, but still stat 5. So if I were playing against this, I would simply ignore it. I wouldn't even attack it. I would simply ignore it.
Yeah.
Because every attack action you put into it is kind of wasted because it's hard to wound. He will heal it back, and it's only possible if you are engaging it in base contact because it's slippery. So you would be in a place where you don't want to be anyway. For me, it's a no higher because it doesn't do enough.
Okay. I mean, my experience with 50 millimeter bases and 0-inch engagement is also, we talked about this with Toast, with the 3 movement. It's kind of rough. I think 0-inch engage with the 50 millimeter is sometimes very rough to get someone engaged. If your opponent is smart and lurks behind a wall, then sometimes you get stuck or you don't get the angle with the 5-inch of movement you have. I mean, to be fair, if I have a min 3 beater that can charge him and hit him, and I say maybe I hit a moderate and just try to 1 round this thing, then it's dead, right? It doesn't hold up well to min 3 beaters, I think. Awesome. Tim, you got anything to add to this, or?
I think it depends. So first of all, this model had to have 0-inch melee because slippery and 1-inch melee would be totally busted.
That is true. All slippery have 0.
And slippery is the reason why he is most likely to going to live longer than expected, because we're still in a faction with Bowfish Boker. And you simply just cheat down or cheat or whatever to push him 1 inch. so he's not in melee anymore because of Slippery. So you're most likely going to get one attack against him if you had to charge him. So he's a sturdy boy. But I agree. So most of his value is just being there. So he's most likely trying to be the first model commit to the midfield just because he's able to take a punch. I think, yeah, he's still got creep along, so bonus movement is nice. Sticky Tongue is a fine action. Bad Trip is actually a pretty interesting trigger as well, because it's damaging yourself, which transfers into Poison and Glowy. It's interesting, but it's not super exciting. I agree. So I guess Hopscotch is going to be one of my guilty pleasures.
because it's a frog.
I really want to, I really want to play him with Brewmaster 1, to be totally honest. Just tongue kissing people back into his aura and not dying. That's the reason why he's there. And I think he's going to be fabulous in his job.
I mean, in my one game that I played him, I was running after something that's really fast and always trying to sticky tongue it back to just be annoying, because that was like, I was pretty sure that I would lose the game anyway, so I used it as a distraction tool and like pulled the model back into hazardous terrain all day. But yeah, fine. Alrighty, so that's a big maybe on Hopscotch there. I mean, if your opponent actually engages him, and if you have the Houdini, then the bonus action of the Houdini will actually be pretty crippling. Yeah, we talked about that with the
yes.
I mean, that's willpower 50.
It becomes much more powerful, but still.
Yeah,
I would just ignore him.
yeah, fair. I think either ignore him or, as I told you, like one round him with something. There is models that can do that. Like if you have focus and puncture, then he's already looking pretty sad on the floor. He is. Okay, awesome. So, and now we finished all the Bayou models, but there's still more, because we got the honorable mentions, which are from the Neverborn faction, and they are in Swamp Fiend, and they are also in Returned, which means they are basically in all the factions in the game, and basically are going to appear another 500 times on this podcast. So yeah, awesome. And this is the Leech King and the giant leeches. And yeah, the Leech King is an 8 soulstone cost living enforcer. And yeah, I think because Klaus has to go on so many not so exciting models, Klaus, you can take this one off the bat and tell us what you think about it.
In your previous podcast, I had gotten the opinion that a lot of people didn't like the Leech King. I actually do like him in the Rider. Of course, he's not an independently good model, because he only becomes powerful when he has something that is half-life that he can hit. So he needs someone else to soften up the enemy to then do his magic. And if he doesn't have this, his activations will be quite underwhelming. But I think in the Rider, more often than not, you can, or at least the way I play her, you can engineer these situations. And you should also have the cards to then do what you exactly want to do. You want to summon a giant leech, and then try to hit the enemy for even more damage, which is good. There are few things that I want to point out in the Rider in particular. He does have condition removal, which you I found myself very often lacking in the rider. Bad Juju always has toss in the mod, which is a emergency condition removal. You only want to do it if you absolutely have to, because you don't want to waste an AP of your 9-stone henchman for this. But for the Leech King, he can do it as his bonus action. On the flip side, if you don't have a condition to end, then this is the model without a bonus action. So I think this model will be quite a feast of famine model. If things go right, you will be fantastic. You will be summoning a giant leech and then have the option to even do more damage. And if things go bad, you will not get much value out of him. What else is there? There's a little bit of synergy with I'll have what they're having, because you have an AoE heal with the Bokor that you can do theoretically. But I guess the Bokor usually isn't played anymore. It's been replaced by Swashbuckler, so that will rarely come into play. And apart from that, I can easily see him in an abduction-based rider list. Just get a model over here with Obey, or with even Obey and Sorcel, and hit it with one of your beaters, and then he can have fun with it. And if he manages to summon one leech, I think that's already great. You're at a great position then. And you also have a model that you can use bloodletting on.
That is true. How about the triggers on the blood magic action, like hemophilia? Target must either suffer 2 damage or gain stunned. We got the, how is it called? Rancid? No, rancid smell. It's not rancid. Penetrating stench. That's what everyone in the keyword has, right? So there's like a semi synergy there. If something already has stunned and you have a mask inbuilt and you ignore all negatives to damage, we are looking at 5 for a moderate on a mask hit.
I think he could be great in a Discord-based rider list, and I guess Timmy will have some ideas on this, because he likes the rider too.
Yeah, I imagine he has. I played once against the Discord-based rider list, and I walked right into it. It was pretty annoying. So let's hear it. Let's hear it from the man. Then, Tim, what do you think?
I think the Leech King in Bayou the Rider is a different story than in Neverbone the Rider, because you got a couple of discard options and the ability to stun lock certain models, which you haven't got in Neverborn. So we're talking Big Brain Bryn, for example, with his trigger on his bonus action. We're talking about Uncle Bock with Chatty Aura, which gets really, really annoying if you're suffering real hand pressure. And the Leech King might add to this as well. The thing about I'll have what they are having, the overheal or the AoE heal, it's pretty interesting for the Rider 2 as well, because the mannequins are only healing living models, and you got a couple of models which aren't living in the keyword, for example, Bad Juju, or what is the bush called?
Okay.
Kurgan. They shouldn't be living, if I'm not mistaken. So you got the option to heal with a mannequin, or heal the Leech King with a mannequin and transfer the heal further. And just having mannequins increases the life expectancy of the Leech King pretty much, I guess. So I think there are a couple of cool uses, and the whole Clue of Leeches action and the summoning of the leeches seems to be a way to empower the penetrating stench as well.
Okay.
Because you're ganging up on models, and you suffer multiple penetrating stanches.
Yeah.
So you're checking for every model, and if you're already stunned, you're discarding cards. And if you would remove your stunt and you're not a master, I'm most likely going to discard a card to keep the stunt on you. So there are multiple effects without getting too much out of your way to let the opponent discard, which, depending on the matchup, is
horrible.
Pretty horrible.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
I feel like there's enough disruption and there's enough soft control in Zoraida 2 to really piss people off. So the Sealed Fate trigger is amazing. Then there are like your summons, which depending on the situation are actually really interesting as well with the Rider 2s, even in combination with the Leech King. So I think at least he's versatile enough and beneficial enough in a defensive disruption-based list that I'm most likely going to play him quite a lot in Zoraida 2.
Interesting.
Depending on the matchup, to be totally honest.
Okay, fair.
I would give it a good shot for sure, because I think it's really interesting. Even if it's just body blocking your opponent with leeches while you pick up the enemy scheme runners and outscore them. Like it's a weird list, and it plays really weird as well. But it's super interesting, and it's keeping me interested because it's so different compared to the other builds I got. So I'm actually pretty hyped about the Leech King. Way more hyped than I would be about a couple of other infection models, which we got in this book.
Yeah, fair. I mean, to be honest, in my experience, if you play competitively and you got something that plays weirdly, it's most of the time an upside, because your opponent is not going to expect it, and then he's probably gonna just you can run him through the mincer once, and he's probably not gonna do it twice to him because he's gonna adapt. But yeah, it's kind of hard to adapt on the fly to stuff like that.
And it's just a clear bad list, because it forces you to activate your, for example, first turn. Your first activation is going to be your master if it's something which tries to really get into the play, because you need to position rather defensively. In any other way, I'm either going to kidnap you or throw you a fucking bad juju into your face, or something like this. And so it really starts being disrupting beginning turn 1. So it's super interesting. I really like it.
I think also that the Rider 2 has much more legs this GG than she had last GG. I mean, last GG, the disruption thing and all the movement and stuff was felt more gimmicky. This GG, it's actually very viable to score with it and get an advantage that is game deciding, in my opinion.
It was good in part, if you're asking me. So,
okay, then I probably just didn't meet the right players, or the situation never came up. Most of the time it was like, why are you not playing the Rider 1? Okay, cool. The one discard list I played against was very interesting, but we did like 3 games. I lost the first one, I won the other 2, because that is one of the things that I felt like is if we adapt to it, then this doesn't work. If I know what's coming, then it falls off in efficiency. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can show me. I mean, we have the chance to play at some point. I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Awesome. So let's look at the leeches. Why not? They are also there and they can be summoned, which is nice. Other than that, would you hire them, Timmy, or would you say this is a summon only model?
No, I think for me it's most likely a summon only model because the lists, the Swamp Fiend lists are rather tight.
Yep.
To be totally honest.
Okay, Klaus, you think you would hire this, or is it also only summon?
Same here, only summon.
Yeah, fair. And they can multiply themselves, which is kind of odd. I don't know. It's dogs that can do that, and leeches, right? Or am I missing any models? Nothing springs to mind right now. So cool. So they have penetrating stench, which is basically the most annoying thing about it. Because you get something summoned into your face and then you have to discard a card or gain stunned. And you have -1 defense.
They get Latron as well. That's pretty annoying as well.
Yeah.
I think Latron is also very powerful part. I mean, in the situation that I'm imagining, I probably would just accept the stunned if I were my opponent and just give up on the kidnap model. Because it's probably half-life already and... Yeah, but it depends, of course.
Yeah,
but you will not kill this model if it's not actively doing something for your opponent because it's going to force discards.
That is true. I mean, yeah, if you get kidnapped into the Zoraida thing, the Zoraida player has a decent amount of interest to keep that kidnap model alive because you just park 3 penetrating stench models next to it and then go
I think it depends. I think you can also play the whole Leech King setup in Zoraida 1 without the discard thought. I think it's viable there as well. Of course, in the discard setup, it becomes a bad choice, one bad choice speed. So choice between two bad things.
Yeah, I mean, if your turn starts with you have to activate that model and discard 3 cards and gain stunned. That is
super fun time.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things. So awesome.
And you activate him Big Brain Brin afterwards and let him discard another 3 cards, and he's good to go for the round.
Yeah. That's what and that is one of the things that immediately feel like NPE. It's like Misaki's bonus action all over again, where you can also force the opponent to do that. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, but is this really reproducible? I'm a bit skeptical. I want to like the discard list that I want to like Zoraida 2, but I'm really skeptical about it.
Yeah, my experience was like it worked once, and I was like, yeah, this is lost game. This is completely, I can't come back. And the second list, it was like, okay, what are your weakest models that have penetrating stench? I kill them all off, and then it doesn't work anymore. That is basically how it goes.
But I think penetrating stench is the last thing you use to let your enemy discard cards. It's more like stuff you don't have to go out of your way to achieve discards, like Big Brain Brin.
Yeah.
Big Brain Brin just a model within 6 inches. Then you got Petty. That's another one. So if we're talking ballots, if we're talking the pushy markers,
Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger, Carve a Pass, stuff like that.
Rather intact-heavy strats, and in the right pool, you have a hard time dodging Anke Bock with Chatty.
Yep.
So we are approaching an area of or a volume of discards which are just happening without anything you actually have to do for it, which are in a volume that is really disruptive. So you're questioning yourself if you're going to cheat the duel, or stuff like Zoraida 2 as well. Guppify is a thing.
Yeah, that is the thing. It's an execute. Did you Guppify something yet? Because I never seen it happen.
Nah.
No?
Not yet.
Oh, so sad.
The Guppify got me to a point where my opponent couldn't interact anymore because of Bock. So that's fine.
Yeah, that's also fine. Mission accomplished there.
And there's Sunny as well. semi-gut 3 discards if you're looking for it. And there are a couple of super ones for discards.
Yeah. You're piling all the annoying models into one thing right now. I see what you're doing there. Yeah, Bayou is such a fun. It's so casual. Yeah, sure. I don't see it. Awesome. Yeah.
The thing is, it's not easy. It's not easy to play, and you won't be able to get it every time. Totally okay with this, but it's more like a plan B than anything else, because it's still Zoraida, so you're actually rather efficient in activations and actions. Moth Witch is actually pretty good. So even if it's Zoraida discarding a card to move herself again to score a point at a certain point in the game.
Yep.
There are a couple of odd interactions in there, or interesting interactions. So I think the whole gameplay is more opportunistic with her. And it's hard to plan or hard to reproduce, like you said before. But there are so many interesting or cool board states I had playing Zoraida 2 that I'm really enjoying it.
Fair. I believe that. It is sometimes a very wild ride.
Yeah.
The giant leeches, once you summon them, they're just there to get on your opponent's nerves and be in the way, right? They don't do much else. There's nothing.
Maybe healing.
Maybe. Okay. How do they do that?
The mini action heals, and I have what they are having as well. So drink blood as well. So it's a built-in heal. It's a drink blood trigger. There are a couple of small annoying things. So
okay, they just like put more survivability on the table.
Not reliably, but
yeah, maybe.
And stagger and stuff, they're not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the latch on, stealth, penetrating stench, movement 6
for
with
some reason
sense weakness. So I think they're fine.
Yeah, I mean, if they're for free, then they are kind of fine. I agree.
And they're 50 mil bases, so they are body blocking real good.
Oh, they're annoying. Yeah, okay, I see that. And also they are size 2, so you can block sidelines. Yes, okay, maybe. To be fair, you mentioned that you got the impression that the other guys didn't like the Leech King and the giant leeches, and in our defense, the sales bit was, and who has an opinion on those? And then they went like, oh, those are on the podcast as well, or I don't have any ideas. So it was basically a case of not being informed and then not coming to terms with it as well, which is fine, I guess. So cool. More playing Zoraida actively. Yeah. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with Leech King and the giant leeches in the upcoming tournaments. Will you guys go to any of the major tournaments this year? I think we are all going to Poland, right? If I'm not mistaken. Awesome. That will be a thing, I guess. Someone told me.
I'm much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think that's really great. I think it's full. I think the tournament right now is actually booked with like 8 teams or 10 teams, something like that. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Other than that, some German tournaments you wanna sales pitch here that you're planning to do or go to?
Yeah, on the 29th and 30th of June, you can come to the Bavarian Masters in Rosenheim, Bavaria. You also get the Bavaria badge on Longshanks.
Awesome.
And it's called Bayou badge, but you will have to beat Rainbow Dash, so you have a chance to play against the number 1 of the ladder there. And anyone arriving by train, we will get them by the train station. We would be happy to welcome you. There are a few spots left.
Awesome. It's set to right before I start my next job, so I probably can't come this year anyway. But yeah, I think as much as I heard, it was a very, very, very great opportunity to have a good time and play Malifaux. And
Exactly.
yeah, and how is it with the Norse? Any tournaments coming up on your end, Timmy?
Nothing planned yet. So from time to time, we're trying to do like a smallish kind of tournament in our club room. It hasn't picked up a lot of steam yet, to be totally honest. So we're talking like 5 players or something like this.
Okay.
But I think if we're doing this all over again and again and again and again, we will be ending up at a smallish regular event. And I know that the other guys in the Norse are planning to do similar stuff as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing like
nothing like that
market.
big. Yeah, fair. We can't do it either here. I think I was pretty happy that I got 14 guys last tournament. That was quite a success. Yeah, I mean it was thanks to like 5 Dutch people coming over from
Cool.
yeah. I think they would be also ones to come. We will see, because I think you're at your location, you're in a good spot, like geographically, to pick up more of the northern and northwestern German player base, if there are some. I don't know. They all seem like hidden and play like with 4 peoples against each other all day and without traveling. So yeah,
or 2, like in our case. But
yeah. I mean that's how it started out here as well. So I think it's fine. Somehow the German Malifaux community is more South focused. Like there are the most tournaments there and the bigger communities. I don't know. It seems to be something that has grown over time. Awesome.
Yeah, the right people in the right place, huh?
Yeah, of course. I mean, people that put in the work and locations that you can you need some. I think you need work, and you also need some luck to get it all together and work. I don't know. Maybe we do an episode one day on this and how to improve and stuff like that. So if you guys would like to join, or if someone from your region join, then that's fine. I will give you a notice about that. Other than that, guys, it was a real pleasure working with you here on the podcast. I think this episode was real interesting, real fun, and very informative for me as well. Once again. So yeah, thanks for coming over and doing this with me. And
thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome, and I hope to see you soon on the next tournament. And for everyone at home, subscribe to everything, of course, and give us a like, comment on if you have different opinions or not. And stay tuned for more episodes here at the Hidden Breed Trash Talk. Have a good one.